You have come here believing that to gain more in life, you must strive, you must acquire, and you must hold on with all your might. I am here to tell you that everything you believe about how to live a successful and abundant life is a complete and total lie. The universe operates on a divine principle that is the absolute reverse of human reasoning. Your very effort to grasp, to keep, to possess is what strangles the flow of the infinite to you. There is a law, a spiritual activity that, when understood, will reverse your entire experience of life. It is the sacred paradox that your fulfillment does not come from getting, but from an inner yielding you have likely never dared to practice. What you will discover in this talk is not a philosophy to be believed, but a conscious experience to be lived. We are going to explore the terrifying and glorious act of releasing your grip on everything you think you need to make room for the immeasurable good that life is seeking to pour through you. You see, the human mind is trained for accumulation. From our earliest years, we are taught to gather good grades, friends, possessions, wealth, security. We build our identities around what we have achieved and what we hold. We walk through life with our hands tightly clenched, believing that the firmness of our grip is the measure of our success and the guarantee of our safety. We live in terror of losing what we have, of having our hands emptied. This is the world of effect, the realm of appearances, and it has convinced you that its logic is unassailable. But I am here to reveal that this logic is the very mechanism of your limitation. The spiritual truth, the foundational principle of the infinite, operates on a contrary axis. It states that to truly gain, you must first consent to let go. This is not a passive resignation, but an active, conscious, and profound inner release. Consider for a moment a simple, tangible example from your daily life. You are holding a precious, fragile object in each hand. Your knuckles are white from the effort of clutching them. Someone approaches you, someone who wishes to give you a gift of immense value and beauty, a gift that far surpasses what you currently hold. They extend this new gift to you, but you cannot receive it. Your hands are full, they are occupied, clenched, and unavailable. The only way you can accept this greater gift is to first open your hands and release what they currently contain. This is not a loss. It is the necessary precondition for a greater gain. Your clinging to the good you already have actively prevents the greater good from entering your experience. Now, translate this from a physical object to the intangible realms of your life. You cling to an old grievance, a story of how you were wronged. You hold it tightly, polishing it in your mind, believing that by keeping it closed, you are maintaining a form of justice or protecting yourself from future hurt. But what are your hands, your mind, your spiritual capacity doing? They are full. They are occupied with the weight of that grievance. Life wishes to pour into you the profound peace that comes with forgiveness, the lightness of heart that allows for new, joyful relationships. But it cannot, because your inner hands are clenched around a pain from the past. You must be willing to open your hands and let that story fall away. It feels like a risk, like you are losing a part of your identity, and indeed you are. But you are making room for an identity not built on pain, but on freedom. Perhaps you cling to a specific, rigid plan for your career or a relationship. You have decided exactly how it must look, the precise timeline it must follow, the specific form it must take. You strive and manipulate and force circumstances to conform to your mental blueprint. You are clutching the map so tightly you cannot see the landscape changing around you. You are so committed to the form you have envisioned that you are blind to the new path, the better opportunity, the more harmonious relationship that life is trying to offer you. It does not look like your map, so you reject it. Your clenched mind, full of its own plan, cannot receive the higher plan that the infinite has for you. The release here is the release of your need to control the form. It is to say, I consent to this outcome or something better. It is to open your mental hands and let your limited blueprint go, trusting that the intelligence that governs the universe can orchestrate a far more magnificent outcome than your fearful human mind could ever conceive. This is the great paradox the moment you release your stranglehold on a specific person, outcome, or possession. You are not entering a void of nothingness. You are entering a state of inner receptivity. You are aligning yourself with the divine current, which is forever flowing, forever giving, forever expressing itself in new and abundant forms. Your clinging is a dam you have built across this river. Your release is the removal of the dam. The water does not hesitate. It immediately rushes in to fill the space you have created. This is the law. It is as immutable as the law of gravity. Think of your own breathing. The breath of life is a constant demonstration of this principle. You must first exhale. You must release the air you are holding in your lungs to make room for the fresh, invigorating, life-sustaining inhalation. If you were to only inhale to clutch the breath, you would suffocate. Life itself is a rhythm of release and reception. Your entire being depends on this rhythm. Why, then, do you believe your spiritual and emotional life should be any different? The fear of exiling, the fear of the empty lung, is what causes panic. But the empty lung is not the end. It is the necessary prelude to being filled again. So it is with your life. The release of what you have, what you know, what you think you need, feels like a terrifying exhalation into emptiness. But I tell you, it is the only way to make room for the incoming tide of the infinite. It is the act of faith that declares your readiness to receive not from your own limited storehouse, but from the boundless abundance of a universe that is inherently and ceaselessly creative. This very act of clutching, this desperate need to possess and control, is the illusion we must now expose. For what is it, truly, that you believe you hold? You believe you possess your relationships, that by your will and your demands you can make another person conform to your idea of love, and in doing so, you secure it. You believe you possess your career, that by sheer force of effort, you can build a structure that will stand forever, immune to the tides of change. You believe you possess your own life, that by meticulously managing your health and your finances, you can build a fortress against uncertainty. This is the grand illusion, the stranglehold that feels like security, but is in reality a slow suffocation of the spirit. Consider the simple act of holding sand. If you close your hand gently, allowing it to remain open and receptive, you can hold a considerable amount. But the moment you become fearful of losing it, the instant you tighten your grip and clench your fist with all your strength, what happens? The sand is forced out. Your very effort to secure it, to possess it absolutely, is the direct cause of its loss. This is a perfect physical illustration of a spiritual law. The tighter you cling to anything, a person, a status, a belief, the more you ensure its loss as a living, joyful presence in your life. You may retain the empty shell, the form, but the essence, the vitality, the joy will have vanished, squeezed out by the pressure of your own fear. Let us look at a relationship. When you claim possession of another, when you say, "You are mine," and build a cage of expectations, jealousy, and demands around them, what are you doing? You are not honoring the person. You are honoring your own concept of them. You are in love with your own need for security, using the other person as an object to fill that need. The relationship becomes a transaction, a contract, and the spontaneous flow of genuine love is replaced by the strained mechanics of obligation and control. The other person feels the stranglehold, consciously or unconsciously, and their spirit begins to retreat. The very love you sought to secure becomes distant, brittle, or resentful. Your possession has not secured it, it has poisoned it. Now, apply this to your ideas and beliefs. You clutch a set of political, religious, or social convictions so tightly that they become a rigid identity. You defend them, you fight for them, you build walls against any contradictory thought. Your mind becomes a closed fist. But what is a mind that is closed? It is a mind that has ceased to grow, to learn, to be inspired. New revelation, deeper understanding. A more profound truth cannot enter a mind that is already full, already certain, already possessed by its current knowledge. The illusion here is that your certainty is your strength, when in truth, it is your greatest weakness. It cuts you off from the infinite intelligence that is always seeking to express new ideas, new solutions, new dimensions of understanding through you. You are holding so tightly to the cup of water in your hand that you cannot see the vast, flowing river beside you. This stranglehold extends to your material possessions. You believe your safety is in your bank account, your property, your investments. You watch them, you worry over them, you base your sense of peace upon their fluctuation. You have given these objects power over your inner state. The possessions have begun to possess you. Your life energy is drained into maintaining and protecting these forms, and you are left with no energy to live the life these things were meant to support. The illusion is that you own them, The reality is that they own your attention, your fear, and your freedom. This is not a call for poverty. It is a call for right identification. It is the difference between holding a treasure in your open hand, appreciating it while remaining detached and free, versus being chained to it, defined by it, and living in terror of its loss. The stranglehold is the ego's attempt to create permanence in a world of flux. It is the sense of a separate self, trying to build a fortress around itself, brick by brick, using relationships, beliefs, and possessions as its materials. But life is movement. Life is flow. Life is constant, eternal becoming. To try to halt this flow, to dam this river at any point for your own possession, is to stand against the current of the divine itself. You will exhaust yourself, and you will ultimately fail, for the river is always stronger. The fatigue you feel, the anxiety, the underlying sense of dissatisfaction. This is not a sign that you need to clutch tighter. It is a sign that you are fighting a battle you cannot win. It is the friction of your small, separate will grinding against the infinite, benevolent will of the universe, which seeks only to express more of itself through you, if you would but consent to let go. And so we arrive at the critical turning point, the moment where theory becomes practice and paralysis gives way to power. This is not a passive surrender, not a collapse into helplessness. It is, in fact, the most active state of being you will ever know. The world mistakes letting go for giving up, for a kind of spiritual defeat. Nothing could be further from the truth. To release your grip on the steering wheel of your life is not to let the car careen off a cliff. It is to allow a master navigator, one who can see the entire road from a vantage point you cannot possibly occupy, to take the wheel. This is the active, conscious, and deliberate practice of inner surrender. Think of a time you were learning a complex physical skill, perhaps riding a bicycle. In the beginning, your entire body was tense. You gripped the handlebars with white-knuckled force, trying to muscle the machine into submission, fighting against every wobble. And what was the result? You fell. You were unstable, rigid, and fighting the natural physics of balance. Then came the moment of breakthrough. It was not when you tried harder. It was when you finally, perhaps out of sheer exhaustion, relaxed your grip. You stopped fighting the bike and instead began to trust the inherent balance of the system. You allowed your body to make the subtle, instantaneous adjustments required. Your control did not vanish, it transformed. It became a fluid, responsive, an intelligent cooperation with the laws of motion. This is the active power of surrender. It is not the absence of control, but the exchange of a crude, external, forced control for a refined, internal, harmonious guidance. Now, apply this to a situation that causes you deep anxiety. Perhaps you are facing a financial uncertainty. The habitual, clenched, fist response is to panic. Your mind races in frantic circles, generating worst-case scenarios, scheming and plotting and worrying. This is you gripping the handlebars of the situation, and the more you grip, the more unstable your entire emotional and mental state becomes. The act of surrender is to stop the mental chatter. It is to consciously, in a moment of quiet, say, I have done what I humanly can. I now release this problem from the stranglehold of my fear. I consent to not knowing the outcome, and I open myself to a solution that my worried mind cannot currently conceive. This is not passivity. It is a powerful inner action that shifts the entire center of gravity of your being from a state of fear-based resistance to a state of faith-based receptivity. You are not abandoning the situation. You are placing it in a larger hands. This same principle applies when you are in a conflict with another person. The ego's demand is to be right, to win the argument, to force the other person to see your point of view. This is the stranglehold. It creates only resistance and resentment. The active power of surrender is to consciously lay down your weapons. It is to stop rehearsing your defense and to become truly silent within. In that silence, you are not admitting defeat. You are making room for an intelligence higher than your own bruised ego to operate. You may find words of understanding and compassion arising that you could never have planned. You may see the situation from a perspective that dissolves your anger. Or the other person, no longer met with your resistance, may soften their own position. The solution emerges not from your forceful will, but from the space you created by ceasing to force. This is the great secret. The power of the infinite can only flow into a vacuum. You're striving, you're worrying, you're controlling. These are all forms of mental and spiritual noise. They fill the inner space with static, blocking the clear signal. The act of surrender is the act of turning down the noise. It is the conscious decision to be still and know. It is the practice of stepping back from the problem you have been wrestling with and declaring, not my will, but thy will be done. This is not a prayer of weakness. It is the most potent command you can utter. It is your alignment with the omnipotence that governs the galaxies. When you stop trying to personally orchestrate every detail of your life, you become a clear channel for a wisdom and a power that can orchestrate solutions with an elegance and efficiency that will forever astound you. You will find yourself guided to the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, stumbling upon the right opportunity, not because you manipulated the world, but because you finally got out of the way and allowed the current of a benevolent universe to carry you. This is the active power, the fearless trust, the dynamic stillness that is the true meaning of surrender. This active surrender, this conscious opening of the hands, does not lead to an empty void. It creates the one thing essential for the transformation of your life space. You have spent a lifetime filling every corner of your existence with your own plans, your own belongings, your own mental clutter. Your inner world is like a room so packed with furniture that you can no longer move, and no new thing of beauty can be brought in. The act of letting go is the act of clearing that room. It is making room for the infinite to flow. The divine is not withheld from you. It is perpetually offered. Your receptivity is the only variable. Your openness is the measure of what you can receive. Consider a simple, physical space your own home. When a room is cluttered, the air becomes stale, movement is restricted, and a subtle anxiety pervades the atmosphere. But when you clear it out, when you remove the excess furniture and the piles of unused items, what happens? The room feels larger. Light floods into corners that were once dark. The air circulates freely. There is a sense of peace, of possibility. The room is now a vessel, ready to be filled with life, with purpose, with beauty. This is not merely a domestic chore. It is a profound spiritual metaphor. Your consciousness is that room. Your fears, your attachments, your rigid opinions, your past regrets, these are the clutter. They occupy the space where inspiration, peace, and new opportunities are meant to reside. The process of letting go is the spiritual house cleaning that prepares the temple of your being for a sacred visitation. Now, apply this to your time. Your schedule is likely packed, every minute accounted for, a relentless parade of obligations and distractions. There is no space for silence, for stillness, for unstructured being. You are so busy doing that you have forgotten how to be, and in this constant state of mental and physical occupation, how can the still small voice of intuition possibly be heard? It is drowned out by the noise. Making room for the infinite means consciously carving out periods of non-doing. It is sitting in quiet contemplation without an agenda. It is taking a walk without a destination, allowing your mind to wander and rest. In these moments of spaciousness, when you are not striving to achieve or acquire, you become a receptacle. Insights that were blocked by your business can now surface. Solutions to old problems dawn with effortless clarity. A deep, abiding sense of peace, independent of external conditions, begins to well up from within. This peace is not something you create. It is what flows in when you stop creating noise. This principle operates powerfully in the realm of relationships. When your mind is full of your own monologue, your own judgments, and expectations of another person, there is no space for them to truly exist as they are. You are not meeting the person. You are meeting your concept of the person. To make room for the infinite in your relationships, you must practice emptying your mind of these preconceptions. You must listen not to formulate a response, but to understand. This creates a sacred space between you, a space free of the clutter of judgment, where something genuine and new can emerge. Love is not something you manufacture. It is a force that flows between individuals when there is enough open space to allow it. Your work is not to create the love, but to remove the obstacles to its flow. The obstacles being your own mental clutter about how the other person should be. Ultimately, this is about making room in your very identity. You have a story about who you are, your successes, your failures, your personality traits, your history. This story is a collection of furniture you have been dragging around for decades. It defines you, but it also confines you. It leaves no room for you to be anything new, to grow, to be surprised by yourself. The ultimate act of making room is to release your grip on this personal narrative. It is to say, I am not merely the story I have been telling myself. When you empty yourself of this limited I, you create a vacuum that the infinite rushes in to fill. You begin to experience yourself not as a fixed, separate entity, but as a fluid, ever unfolding expression of something far greater. Your life ceases to be a repetitive performance of an old script and becomes a spontaneous moment-to-moment revelation. You are no longer living from the cramped quarters of your personal history. You are living from the boundless expanse of the eternal now, where the infinite is constantly flowing, creating, and expressing itself as you. This brings us to the heart of the divine economy, a system so contrary to human logic that it appears as foolishness to the calculating mind. In the world of men, to be empty-handed is to be poor, to be vulnerable, to have failed. In the realm of spirit, empty hands are the only hands that can truly receive. You're open. Surrendered palms are not a sign of poverty, but a signal to the universe that you are finally ready to accept its boundless inheritance. This is the great reversal. The moment you cease your grasping, you are elevated from a beggar trying to claim scraps to a child of the infinite, ready to receive a kingdom. Human economy is built on the principle of accumulation and exchange. You must have something to get something. You trade your time for money, your money for goods, your loyalty for protection. It is a closed system of limited resources, a perpetual cycle of bargaining. But the divine economy operates on an entirely different principle, the principle of grace. Grace is the unearned, unmerited, and continuous flow of divine substance. It asks for nothing you have, because what you have is the very blockage. It asks only for what you are willing to release, your sense of lack, your fear, your belief in separation, your tight-fisted control. When you come to this inner state of emptiness, you are not presenting a resume of your virtues or a ledger of your achievements. You are presenting a vessel hollowed out and ready to be filled. Consider the story of two students, both seeking knowledge. The first student comes with a mind full of opinions, certainties, and past learning. He is eager to demonstrate what he already knows, to debate, to prove his intelligence. The teacher looks upon this student and has very little to offer him, for his cup is already full. The second student comes with a mind empty, humble, and acknowledging that he does not know. He asks no questions to show off his own insight. He sits in quiet receptivity. To this student, the teacher can impart everything, for his emptiness creates a vacuum that draws forth the deepest wisdom. The first student operates in the human economy of intellectual exchange. The second enters the divine economy of inspired revelation. This principle manifests in your financial life in ways that will seem like miracles. You are conditioned to believe that security comes from hoarding, from building a larger pile that you can sit upon and protect. This is the mindset of the dragon guarding its treasure, a life of fear, isolation, and heaviness. But when you understand the divine economy, You realize that your good does not come from a static pile of resources. It comes from the infinite source, and it flows to you through channels of service, inspiration, and love. The moment you release your anxious grip on your money, the moment you use it not from a place of fearful scarcity, but from a consciousness of abundant flow, tipping generously, giving freely to a cause you believe in, investing in your own growth without the desperate need for a specific return. You are signaling your faith in this higher economy. You are not losing money, you are priming the pump. You are demonstrating that you trust the source more than the resource. And the universe, in its perfect law, responds to this faith by opening new and unexpected channels of supply, often from directions you could never have plotted on your own map. Apply this to your need for love and companionship. The human economy says you must be attractive, witty, successful, and perfect to be worthy of love. It is a brutal marketplace of comparison and transaction. This mindset forces you to clench your personality, to present a polished but false facade, to negotiate for affection. And what does this yield? It yields a relationship based on a transaction of images, a fragile structure that collapses the moment the facade cracks. But when you approach this need from the divine economy, you come with empty hands. You come as you are, without pretense, without a list of demands, acknowledging your own vulnerability and openness. You are not there to get love, but to be a place where love can happen. This humility, this emptiness of ego, is the most magnetic force in the universe. It draws people to you not because you are perfect, but because you are real. It allows for a connection that is not a transaction, but a spontaneous communion, a gift of grace that flows between two open vessels. Your very sense of a separate. Striving self is the currency of the old economy. When you release that, when you consent to be nothing but an open channel, you step out of the marketplace of lack and into the boundless field of infinite possibility. Your empty hands are no longer a sign of need, but a testament to your utter and complete reliance on a source that knows no lack. And this source does not give in measured doses. It pours out its entire substance upon the receptive heart. It is not waiting for you to be worthy. It is waiting for you to be ready. And you become ready the moment you stop holding on to the pennies of your personal achievements and open your hands to receive the gold of a kingdom. This is the ultimate destination of our journey, the living reality that awaits when the theory has been lived and the practice has become your very breath. This is not a state to be achieved in some distant future, but a present, tense experience available the very moment you cease your striving. It is the state of living from grace, a life no longer driven by the exhausting engine of personal will, but effortlessly carried upon the current of a benevolent and intelligent universe. You are no longer the frantic gardener, digging, planting, and worrying over every seed. You become the quiet, knowing participant who understands the sun will rise, the rain will fall, and the earth itself contains the intelligence to bring forth life. Your work becomes a cooperation with these forces, not a struggle against them. Imagine the difference between swimming against a powerful current and turning to float upon it. The swimmer who fights the current uses every ounce of strength merely to stay in place and is consumed by fatigue and panic. His entire experience is one of struggle and the terror of being swept away. But the one who turns onto his back and trusts the water finds that the same current that was his adversary is now his ally. It carries him forward without any effort of his own. He is moving with a power far greater than his own, and his experience is one of ease, wonder, and awe at the landscape moving past him. This is the difference between a life of grasping and a life of grace. The circumstances may be identical, the powerful current of life, but your relationship to it has been utterly transformed. Consider your daily work. The mindset of grasping approaches the day as a series of problems to be solved by personal intellect and sheer force of effort. You hit obstacles, and your entire being tenses. You meet resistance, and you prepare for a fight. Your identity becomes fused with your successes and failures, so every setback feels like a personal wound. This is swimming against the current. Living from grace does not mean you stop working. It means you change the center of your operation. You begin your day not with a list of demands, but with a quiet inner consent. I am here as an instrument. Let this day unfold through me. Lead me to the right actions, the right words, the right ideas. Then you proceed. When an obstacle appears, you do not immediately tense and resist. You pause. You look at it not as a hostile force, but as a part of the current. You ask, what is this here to show me? What new direction is it forcing me to consider? An insight arises, a path opens that you had not seen. A colleague offers an unexpected solution. The problem is not overcome by your brute force, but dissolved by a wisdom that operated through you and around you. You finish the day not with the fatigue of a soldier returning from battle, but with the quiet satisfaction of a musician who has played his part in a beautiful symphony. Apply this to a chronic health concern. The grasping mind becomes obsessed with the condition. It fights it, resents it, fears it, and in doing so, gives the condition all its power. The very resistance creates a tension that often exacerbates the problem. Living from grace in this situation involves a profound inner shift. It is the release of the battle. It is not giving up, but giving over. It is saying, I am more than this physical condition. I consent to relax into the infinite life that animates this body. I trust its intelligence to perform its restorative work in its own way and in its own time. This inner release of the struggle, the mental and emotional clutching at the problem, creates a physiological environment of peace instead of panic. It opens the door for healing to flow in ways that your frantic efforts could never have achieved. Whether through a sudden intuition about a treatment, the discovery of a new therapy, or the simple, mysterious operation of the body's own innate wisdom when the interference of fear is removed. This is the life that is waiting for you. A life where your needs are met not because you have clawed your way to them, but because you have aligned yourself with the source of all supply. A life where your relationships are fulfilling not because you have manipulated others, but because you have become a clear vessel through which love can flow without obstruction. A life where your peace is unshakable, not because your circumstances are perfect, but because you have found a foundation that is beneath all circumstances. You are no longer trying to build a life from the outside in, gathering pieces and gluing them together. You are living from the inside out, allowing an already complete and perfect life to express itself through your unique form. You are not building the wave, you are riding it. You are not manufacturing the light, you are simply cleaning the window pane through which it has always been shining. This is the effortless existence, the state of grace, where you finally understand that you do not have to grasp life, because life, in its infinite abundance, is forever grasping you.